Inside the 28 minutes that saved Kevin McCarthy. For the first time all week, House Republicans were jubilant and Kevin McCarthy's smile finally seemed genuine. It was 10 p.m. Friday night, and word had spread that after days of painful negotiations and 13 failed ballots, McCarthy finally had the votes to be Speaker. But as the clerk started to call the roll, there was a problem. Rep. Matt Gaetz, Republican Florida, approached McCarthy's top floor lieutenant, John LEGANSKI, and told him they needed to adjourn the House. The 6 McCarthy holdouts had discussed a plan to back the GOP leader by voting present in tandem so none of them could be fingered as the final vote, giving McCarthy the gavel, but Gaetz didn't have the entire group sold at that moment. If they waited until Monday, Gaetz said, he could probably deliver. That wasn't an option, LEGANSKI told him. There was no guarantee all 222 Republicans would be in attendance Monday, with several members dealing with family emergencies. The wife of Rep. Roger Williams, Republican Texas, was undergoing treatment for a newly discovered brain tumor, and Rep. Wesley Hunt, Republican Texas, had left his wife's bedside to fly back for the expected final vote. She has struggled with medical issues, Hunt said Friday, after giving premature birth to a baby boy. Gaetz went back to his seat, but he wasn't about to deliver McCarthy the deciding vote for the gavel. Just days before, he had suggested he'd rather be waterboarded. So he voted present, leaving McCarthy just short of a majority on the 14th ballot. McCarthy made a beeline for Gaetz. "Matt, come on," he told him, according to a person present. "You've made your point. People have to go home." Gaetz replied this wouldn't be happening if they'd adjourned as he'd suggested. So began a wild, 28-minute floor scramble that salvaged an unimaginably messy start to the new House Republican majority and finally fulfilled McCarthy's long dream of wielding the Speaker's gavel. At 11:03, after confronting Gaetz in the back benches, a defeated and dejected McCarthy headed back to his seat at the front of the chamber. A top ally, Rep. Patrick McHenry, RNC, moved to adjourn the House until Monday, a risky plan that would send the GOP's leadership turmoil into a second week. Then McCarthy's whips went back to work. McHenry, who had been leading negotiations with conservatives, reiterated to Gaetz the concessions that his fellow conservative hardliners had won. What more, he demanded to know, could they do to break the logjam? Earlier that week, Gaetz had insisted on a House Armed Services Subcommittee gavel as his prize for backing McCarthy. McCarthy told him he couldn't give him that position. That decision was up to committee chair Mike Rogers, Republican Alabama. But as they struggled to nail down votes that night, leadership talked through the idea again, even after Rogers had confronted Gaetz on the floor in one of the night's most dramatic moments. As McHenry tried to fix the problem, Rep. Matt Rosendale, Republican Montana, came into the aisle to cheer Gaetz on. "We got your back," he said, according to a person present. "Hold the line. You're not on your own." Meanwhile, Majority Whip Tom Emmer sat next to Gaetz, with Chief Deputy Whip Guy Reeskenthaler standing on the aisle, blocking Gaetz from leaving but keeping other angry Republicans, some of whom had been drinking, from approaching and making things worse. The whips pulled on the holdouts' heartstrings, reminding them about Williams and Hunt and their wives. "Think about the human element of this," one McCarthy ally told Gaetz. At one point, Reeskenthaler turned to Rep. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Republican Georgia, with a request, "I need you to get Donald Trump on the phone right now," according to a person who overheard the remark. Greene did just that, calling up the former president and putting him on the line with both Gaetz and fellow holdout Rep. Lauren Boebert, as CNN's Caitlin Collins first reported. He would later talk to other holdouts, though one McCarthy foe, Rosendale, refused to talk to him, a rejection captured in a striking photo by Al Drago. "Don't put me in that situation," he yelled at Greene. Trump angrily told the group to knock it off, according to a person familiar with the conversations, arguing that the televised mayhem was making him look bad. "He ripped them a new asshole," the person said. Amid the full court press, the holdouts ping-ponged between huddles before finally agreeing that McCarthy would ultimately get the gavel one way or another and that they should let fate take its course. Gaetz, who had already voted to adjourn until Monday, walked to the clerk's desk at 11:31 and pulled a red slip to change his vote. He found McCarthy and told him the group would clear the way for him to get the gavel. McCarthy immediately yelled for a 15th and final vote, sparking an eruption of cheers from his rank and file. Members chanted "one more time. One more time," as dozens went to change their votes for adjournment. An hour later, McCarthy prevailed. He won 216 votes, with the 6 holdouts all voting present. Not a single GOP vote was cast against him. It was a remarkable and suitably dramatic ending to the wildest speaker race in modern congressional history. We highly recommend diving into the killer accounts of the floor spectacle from our Olivia Beavers, Sarah Ferris and Jordan Carney, from Mel Zaynona and the rest of the CNN team, and from WAPO's Paul Kane and Dylan Wells. Good Saturday afternoon. Thanks for reading Playbook. Sorry we're so late sending today. We were working the phones trying to get a full TikTok on all of last night's drama. Drop us a line anytime. Rachel Bade, Eugene Daniels, Ryan Lizza. The must-see video clips, via C-SPAN. The McCarthy-Gaetz-Rogers scuffle, McCarthy and Gaetz talking before the final vote. The winning moment. McCarthy sworn in. McCarthy swearing in the members. The deets, what's in McCarthy's emerging deal with conservatives, and why it could work, by Olivia Beavers, Sarah Ferris, Connor O'Brien and Meredith Lee Hill. The view from back home, Kevin who? In McCarthy's hometown, a different take on his fate, by David Siders in Bakersfield, California. Kevin McCarthy wins his dream job, but at a humiliating and stifling cost, by LA Times Jeffrey Fleischman and Melanie Mason. Column, Kevin McCarthy won the House speakership. Now the country will pay the price, by LA Times Mark Baraback. The view from the other side, how Democrats could exploit the McCarthy situation, by WAPO's Aaron Blake. Knowing Eli Crane, how the last freshman holdout against McCarthy made it to Congress, by Ally Mutnick. The media lens, the flailing, tedious thrill of reporting on the House leadership fight, by WAPO's Paul Farhi.